good evening. Reverend Michael McMorrow coming to you from the sanctuary of the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California, which is in the North San Fernando Valley, if you're joining us from out of state or out of the area. Wherever you're joining us from, just know that you're most welcome. We welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. And I'm joined tonight by our friend and Mr. Fix-It. Does just about every job here at the center except speaking on Sundays, although he does do the Law of Attraction group. So anyway, so it's Mike Carlin. So maybe give him a shout out on the chat. Just tell him, hey, Mike, thanks. Because we couldn't do this job, we couldn't do a lot of stuff without him, actually. So our Christmas lights are out because we have a dropped neutral. That's what I found out from Mike tonight. All right, so welcome. I trust you're doing well. We're here for our Get Real and Heal meditation service. And so as we do for all of our services here at our center, we're going to start by taking a deep conscious breath and exhale. Just release the cares and concerns of the day. In fact, let's take another one. It's been a busy day. Deep breath. Deep breath, and release. Okay. So let's come together then for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. So we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So we light the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle we light for Shamanic Traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the Way of Primal Spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism. Tonight is one of the nights of Hanukkah, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, our online community, and within our own hearts. And if you would, as we have our healing candle, please speak aloud the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love, including all those suffering from the coronavirus epidemic.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God.
So taking a deep breath and exhaling, and in that exhale, just allowing ourselves to surrender to this moment, this eternal now moment, where we surrender because we trust. We trust in this one power, one presence, one source, one life, one living intelligence, one infinite heart of the divine, that is both impressing and expressing itself in, through, and as all of creation, and in, through, and as all that we are. And so as we know this intellectually to be so, we allow ourselves to drop into the heart and to feel the ramifications of this truth. We allow ourselves to consider, what would it mean if we truly knew that we were God in expression? How would life be different? And so we just take a moment to consider the ways in which this is in fact true. The quickening of the heart, witnessing things of beauty, the exchange of glad tidings between a stranger above our masks, a sense of gratitude knowing that there is enough for us to share, and a sense of gratitude for this awareness that we have and this faith that we share in a power greater than we are by ourselves. And in the full and complete knowledge that we co-create our best life right now. So in this way, what I know for all of us is that we are open at the top, open to have whatever transpires this evening by means of this meditation, is that it's okay because it's happening. So we just allow ourselves to be guided by the indwelling whisper of the divine itself, beckoning us to go deeper. So in this way, this time, I declare this time is time well spent. So we just surrender to it now. Surrender to its divine unfoldment, knowing that it's good. So we release all the attachments of what is yet to be and just simply fall into the slipstream of consciousness, Taking a deep breath and releasing, and so it is. Amen. So, we're edging towards the 21st. Mike and I were out in the parking lot looking at the moon tonight, and Jupiter and Saturn are there in the southwest sky. So the conjunction of Jupiter and Mars, which some believe is the Christmas star, but actually it's believed, if you look behind your shoulder as you're looking at Jupiter and Saturn, look almost straight up, you'll see Mars. And at even greater intervals than the 800 years where we see from our perspective from Earth, Saturn and Jupiter in conjunction. But it's actually that third star of Mars, which is such a trip, right? So it looks like it's one thing from our perspective here on this planet, and yet millions of miles away, these bodies which are, I don't know if they're millions of miles, but certainly they're hundreds of thousands of miles away from each other. There's no risk of them colliding, certainly, and yet they look like they're one thing. And isn't that a wonderful metaphor about how we can really get things kind of tweaked within our own life experience, thinking that it's one thing from our perspective. And then it turns out that it really is three things that have no connection at all, except from our perspective. And so Pema Chodron, in her book, Start Where You Are, this is kind of a common theme that she explores really kind of exhaustively, but always compassionately and in a very accessible way, because Pema is, after all, has been a wife and a mother and a grandmother. So she's lived real life. And so she shares with us Buddhist practice from that practical perspective, which means is that she is exploring ways for us to observe our thought, our reactions to situations and circumstances out in the world that we observe ourselves reacting or responding. And how we can, as she says, we can bite the hook, which is a wonderful image for what can happen in meditation. Right, so we start out by just simply observing the breath. Well, we don't start out, that is the practice, right? And the mind begins to still. And thoughts, meander like a restless wind inside a letterbox, as George Harrison said. But thoughts arise, right? And so the practice then is just to observe them and not attach, right? What happens is, sometimes you'll get a thought and you'll get hooked. And just like a fish that's just taking out tons of line, you don't even realize you've been hooked until you're out of line, right? So if you find that happens tonight, don't judge it, right? In fact, it's pretty healthy to just be amused. Oh, there I go, doing that thing again, doing that thing I do. I bit the hook. Now, the interesting thing about that is that sometimes we find that we've bit the hook again on stuff that we thought we were done with, right? And Pema talks about how we can take that thought and we can just chew on it, and we can just suck out every bit of emotion out of that moment. And before we know it, we've time traveled back, cutting through space and time, and there we are, right back in that old hurt, that old trauma, that old resentment, right? And we can breathe through it. We can breathe love into it and exhale. I breathe light into it and exhale love. And practice compassion for ourselves. And practice compassion around the situation. So that's what all of these books, and there are several, that Pema has written, that's basically the practice. So we're now the second to the last chapter next week. Let's see, we have 2 more weeks before the end of the year. Yes. So tonight's chapter is entitled Train Wholeheartedly, and she talks about now it's time for us to walk our talk. And one of the final slogans is, observe these 2 even at the risk of your life. Walk it like we talk it. It refers once again to the refugee and the bodhisattva, refuge and the bodhisattva vows. It has a sense of urgency even at the risk of our life. That's telling us not to be afraid to leave the nest, to don't be afraid of losing ground, or of things falling apart, or of not having it all together. The meaning of observing the essence of the refuge vow, even at the risk of your life, is no escape, no problem. To observe the bodhisattva vow is to exchange ourself for others and develop compassion for ourselves and for others. So even at the risk of our own lives, if it's painful, breathe it in. Think about all of the other people who are experiencing pain. If it's delightful, give it away and wish it for all people to have that delight. And that's the essence of this slogan. And she shares a story about spiritual pride, about a young man who'd been on a spiritual journey most of his life, and he was complaining about his girlfriend who was having a hard time giving up smoking. And so he's kind of getting on her, a little bit about, just be strong, don't be so fearful, be disciplined. And she would say, I'm trying, I really am. I'm doing the best I can, and this would anger him. And he knew he should be more compassionate, but this thing just got under his skin. And so while he's speaking to his teacher, telling him about this, and wanting to be more understanding, but she's just so stuck. And he heard himself say, I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm doing the best I can. And so he saw himself mirrored. And isn't this the way life works for all of us? And she talks about how we're like eagles who want to fly, but we're bogged down with shoes and socks and slacks and shirts and coats and Walkmans and hats. And we edge up to the nest knowing that we have to release all of these things to fly because they weight us down. So we start to take these things off, and of course at the edge of the nest it's difficult, it's cold, it's freezing. And yet, in order for us to launch and be able to fly, we have to just be able to to give away and to give up all of it. That it's the only way that we will experience that vast sky. And then we find out that everything has to go. That you just can't fly when you still have slacks and socks and shoes on. It's all got to go. So then she ends this chapter by speaking to the idea that all of us, those of us who have been students of the spiritual path, whichever path that we're on, she encourages to know that we know a lot of stuff. That we need to release our attachment to thinking that there's something more that we need to study. And to sometimes to just recognize that there's a lot that we know. So she tells the story of a fellow who was bringing some trekking back and forth from Tibet to India and back. And on his last trip back from India to Tibet, he would keep running into this fellow traveler. And there was kind of a competition on his side because he always wanted to see how much more this traveler had learned. And so he tells, so he's always like quizzing him to see if the traveler knew more than he did. And in fact, they had to cross this river. And the traveler had several texts that he was bringing back to Tibet. And so the man, the competitor, in his frustration and his jealousy, took these texts and threw them in the river so that no one could have them. And so the work then for the traveler was to continue on to Tibet. And when he arrived there, he realized that he may not have known everything that was in the text, that he knew that he had learned something, that there was a lot that he did know. Right? So Pema encourages us, and I share this with you, is to trust what you do know. To trust what you do know. Particularly if the knowledge that you are gaining, the insight that you are gaining is from the time that you're spending in solitude, in contemplation, in meditation. And to trust it. And then Pema closes this chapter out. At the very last slogan is to train wholeheartedly, which she said, you could also just say to live wholeheartedly. That these teachings are elusive, even though they seem so concrete. If it hurts, breathe it in. If it's pleasant, send it out. Right? If it hurts, breathe it in. If it's pleasant, send it out. It isn't really something that you finally and completely get. When we read Trungpa Rinpoche's commentaries on mind training and read the text by Jamgon Khantrul, we can read them and try to apply them to our lives, and we can let them continually haunt us into understanding what it really means to exchange oneself for others. What does that really mean? And what does it mean to be a child of illusion? What does it mean to drive all blames into oneself or to be grateful to everyone? What is bodhicitta anyway? Trying to speak these things to you is, for me, Pema, a chance to digest them further. Now, we are going to find ourselves speaking them and living them and digesting them. And she ends with this admonition, I suppose. May you practice these teachings and take them to heart. May you make them your own and spread them to others. Yeah. So, if it hurts, I've never heard Buddhist teaching said so succinctly. If it hurts, breathe it in. If it feels good, send it out. Yeah, that, I suppose that is the true act of compassion, isn't it? Whether it's compassion towards ourselves or to others. All right, so tonight is December 16th. It really is kind of a magical time of year when the nights are long and it's finally gotten cold here in Southern Cal. So it feels different. There's a chill in the air, and even with the legitimate cares and concerns that we all have about what's going on around us, we can still remember and know that the universe is an expression of consciousness. And that when we come together and meditate together in a group, as we are doing, that we are setting an energetic field and an energetic field that has an effect on each one of us as we participate in this meditation, even if you are watching this later, at some late date. So there's a resonance, there's a vibration, an energetic to what we do here. So let's get down to doing it, shall we? So let's just fix our seat, get all our jiggles and wiggles out. And I'm feeling a little creaky today because I was doing some physical work. So I'm just going to rotate my neck around a little bit, kind of activate that. All right. So, again, the practice is to observe the movement of the breath in the nostril, and in particular on the exhale, that we're just breathing normally. We're not forcing anything. We're not like gnashing our teeth and trying to concentrate, but rather focus on sensation. Focus on sensation and observe thought as it arises. And with practice, what you will find is there will be gaps between thought. And then when we get into that space, we are now cultivating a meditative state. So let's take a deep breath and release. Bringing our attention to the breath. So bringing our attention to the breath and to the bottom of our feet. Moving up the leg, into the knees. Sometimes we can torque our knee a little bit, so just take a breath and exhale. The interesting thing is when you find tension on that exhale, you will feel it unwind into the hamstrings and the quads, to the sit bones, to the tummy, and the tummy just has a rise and fall to it. Just allow the tummy to expand. Just breathing naturally. To the back, the lower back. So check that out, particularly those desk jockeys out there sitting at Zoom calls all day. If there's any tightness in there, just see if you can tuck your tailbone in underneath and then allow your lower back then to be supported. Bring our attention to the sit bones. So the spine is erect, yet free of tension, balanced on the sit bones, the head balanced on the spine. Chin is slightly down. And moving down into the arms, releasing any tension there. So now we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to hold it at the top for a second, and then when we release, we're going to release our shoulders and lengthen our neck. Taking a deep breath and holding it. Oh, release. Return to the breath. Focus on the exhale. See if you can detect the motion of the breath on your upper lip. On the exhale. Now, release your eyes, your cheeks, your face. go deeper, you may feel a sensation of tingling above your eyebrows, at the third eye, or at the crown of the head. Just observe it without attaching. Now we're going to go into the silence for about 18 minutes by taking a deep conscious breath and release as we move now into the silence. staying with the breath. So we're going to activate the heart with the breath by breathing in and fanning the flame of the divine within our heart center. That we are breathing in the light of the divine, fanning that flame of the divine within. And this exchange of energy and this expression of energy as we breathe in light and exhale love. Breathe in light and exhale love. And we at first imagine and then feel that with each in-breath, this light of the divine within is growing. With each in-breath, in the same way that we would blow up a balloon that cannot burst. Breathing in light, exhaling love, that we feel this globe now expanding, this globe of love and light, extending now to just beyond the body, torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom, staying with the breath, breathing in light, exhaling love, breathing in light, exhaling love. So that we are now sitting in this field of light and love. The very room that we sit in is now activated, that we have activated a field of light and love, and that this field extends beyond space-time, and that as we are knowing ourselves lifted and raised in this field, we are knowing this for each other, for our community, for those suffering in any way, particularly those suffering either through illness or loss in this pandemic. We breathe in light and exhale love. That in this way we are in this moment a light unto the world. So from this place of conscious unity with the one and with each other and ourself, we know that there is but one fire, one power, one presence, one source, one life, one infinite light of the divine, impressing and expressing within. And so we align with this power, that at an atomic level we understand and know that there is this exchange of light, of energy, of love, activating us at an atomic level, a molecular level, a cellular level, that every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone, every organ is aligning with and activated by the infinite power and presence of the divine, and is now demonstrating a pattern of perfection of radiant good health. That our lung function is strong, that the body temple experiences a law of circulation in respiration in the circulatory system, the endocrine system, all the various systems and that inherent intelligence within that knows exactly how to heal itself is activated, and that we are conscious of its activation. And as we know this truth for ourselves, we are knowing it now for all beings. Those who suffer in any way, those from whom we know, we breathe in, exhale, and raise them in light and love. And for those whom we do not know, that the spirit is not bound by material concepts such as number, for it is infinite. And so we raise all of these folks, taking a deep breath, raising them in light and love. So within all that we know that there is a restoration and a full and complete awareness of restoration to wholeness. And an awareness of the oneness of all of life with itself. And so in this way, our life is activating that pattern of perfection that is consciousness itself expressing. And so whatever our cares and concerns and intentions, all the material needed to bring it forward is attracted to us, that we see it, that we are guided into doing the next indicated thing, including be still and know I am. And so, for this word, the cares and concerns of anyone listening either now or years from now, we take a deep breath and exhale. And in that exhale, we just rest in knowing that it is done. A rest that is so complete that when we hit the pillow tonight, we drift off easily to sleep, sleeping deeply, restfully, dreaming sweet dreams, that we awaken feeling rested, restored, revitalized, full of vim and vigor, and a sense of excitement, with a spring in our step and a zest for life. That every person we meet is our friend in the spirit. That every circumstance that presents itself is an opportunity to demonstrate the infinite power and presence at work in our life. So we feel a deep sense of gratitude for the many blessings in our life. And in this gratitude, we take a deep breath and release it now in gratitude and confidence unto that aspect of the mind of the divine itself that knows only to say yes, acting as the impersonal law of its own being. We release it, let it go, know that it is so, and together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. And so if this is your first time joining us, that little bit at the end is known as a mental treatment. It's something that we do here, and it's an affirmative way of praying. And if you feel you need prayer support, if you go to our website, cslgh.org, there are ministers and practitioners who would be absolutely delighted to pray with you in this, using this method, and to confer with you also if you would like. So it's our most underutilized and most powerful resource in our center. So I invite you to do yourself a favor and treat yourself to life. So this Sunday at 9:30 right here on this very channel is our big Christmas palooza. So Ken and friends will be here to whoop up some Christmas spirit. So if you feel like you're dragging a little bit, this will be a wonderful opportunity to up your spirit. I know I watched The Grinch last night, so I'm moving into it. I got my Santa Claus DVD. I got all my little stack of Christmas CDs, so I'm moving into it. And I encourage you to do that you don't have to do this on your own. And yes, it's in Zoom, and it's nowhere near as grand as being together, but it's still us. It's still one consciousness, one heart, and we can express it together. And we have a Christmas Eve service at 6 o'clock on the 24th, which is a Thursday. And that will be a Zoom situation, so get a candle handy. Put it on your to-do list to have a candle ready, because we're going to do a candlelight service on Zoom remotely. So we'll bring in the light together that way. We have a New Year's morning, on New Year's Eve morning, we have a World Peace Meditation, World Peace Meditation at 4 a.m. That'll be done on Zoom. So we'll see how many of you can rustle up for that. Of course, you do not have to be on Zoom to join us. But anyway, it's actually very popular when we come together, but we will not be able to do that this year. So lots of stuff. Check out our website, cslgh.org. There's a lot of stuff posted on there. Or you can drop me a line at revmike@cslgh.org. And really, if you're struggling in any way or know someone who is struggling, reach out, right? You don't have to do it alone, that we want to be here for you. All right, until then, enough yakking. Peace and blessings. Know that you're loved, and I will see you on Sunday.